with Trump, I don't think the loss last night was that surprising because you look at the last Des Moines Register poll out of Iowa, and half the voters said that they have an unfavorable opinion of Trump. And, sure, he leads with something like 30% in all these polls, but that the other half of the Republican Party wants nothing to do with him. There was another poll just among all the U.S. voters, 60% of American voters don't like Trump. Can a guy like divisive inside his own party like this really win enough delegates in a 50-state contest to actually be the nominee this time around? Peter, you don't seem to agree.
No, he didn't win in Iowa. I mean, that's kind of a bad start as you go there. And it's very, very hard to see his non-message play outside of his little coven of followers. And certainly once the media starts to turn its attention to other candidates, particularly Rubio and Cruz, if he steps up his game a little bit. Trump is a creation of the media because media loves these kind of stories. They love this bombastic stuff that Trump pulls. He's always been a media guy. He's had his own TV shows. He was always sort of a walking little reality figure of his own with his goofy hair and his bluster and everything, going back into the 80s. And this is just a continuation of that. The other thing I suspect is at some point when the spotlight starts to turn off of Trump is just going to say at some point, fuck this. I had a lot of fun, but as soon as it stops being fun and it starts being work, I'll just go back and make money on real estate and incestuous weird photos of me and my daughter that are circulating. I don't see Trump having the interest or the energy to go all the way with this and do the things that have to be done, the handshaking and the glad handing. And when people start trying to pin him down on things, and he actually has to start thinking about what he's saying.
Josh,
what do you think? About a hidden candidate, though.
What's that?
Forgot about Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah, no, we did it.
Yes, I did.
Josh, we have shit. Eric threw me off. God damn it.
Yeah.
Can Donald Trump overcome all these unfair when his own party hates him? We saw just last night pretty much a late surge of anti-Trump voting. Is this going to happen more often than we think?
What's interesting is that if he would be the candidate that, while dominating the Republican-only polls, would start in the biggest hole of any Republican candidate from a general election perspective. Now, again, Trump has proven that he can sort of overcome those kind of poor expectations and in ways that are not only mind-boggling, but also somehow the most offensive things he could possibly do. But again, that works. Primary politics is different than general election politics. People paying attention to the general election politics, I don't think they're not going to appreciate Trump's I'm a fighter, fuck you strategy the way Iowa and New Hampshire Republican voters do. In fact, I don't even know if regular primary voters outside of the early states will do it. Like, remember, Iowa and New Hampshire, they get all, riled up about this because they have it in their state for a year and a half before an election. Everyone else, the rest of us, we get 3 months, from now until Super Tuesday is done. So for the rest of us, I don't think that Trump has, or not Trump, I don't think that Cruz or Rubio has the kind of spotlight skills that Trump does. If the media does continue to show Trump all the time, it will inevitably make him win. But I don't think it's fair to call him a creation of the media, because the stuff he's saying is resonating with people, like it or not. It is landing with people, and it's tapping into something that they're pissed off about, whether it's, all these people with different levels of melanin in their skin, or just that, their wife annoys them and they can go to the Trump rally and get 3 hours apiece. I don't know what it is, but it's tapping into something. So I think that
narrow demographic.
I think that it is indeed. I think that Trump, there is a sort of intangible, unknowable thing about Trump that you can't really see how it's going to play out until the election day. The caucus is always hard to predict and it's always goofy. but the Trump thing is an X factor that I don't think we know how to solve for yet.
Well, and something interesting too. Oh, go ahead, Peter.
I mean, the big weakness with Trump is he's only got one song. He's Trump. And he's Trump screaming about Mexicans. He's Trump screaming about this, that, and the other thing. There's no depth there. There's nothing about him that's going to sort of unfold as the campaign goes on. People who are interested in a little more depth, they're not going to find it there. And once the media is given a new story to play with, in this case, we'll say the rise of Rubio, then they don't need Trump anymore. He can just kind of wither away, and we had our fun with him, and now we're moving on to something new. So anyway, sorry, Eric. Thank you.
Well, I was just going to say one thing that maybe could be an advantage for Trump if he can escape and get the nomination is some Democrats and even some people I talk to in the United States, they will not vote for Hillary, and they said that they would rather vote for Trump because that's how much they dislike Hillary. So maybe that's something that he could play up to his advantage too, if ever he could escape the nomination process alive. I'm not saying it would be a lot of voters, but there are people that do legitimately dislike Clinton enough that they may either not vote, which hurts the Democrats, or vote for Trump because he's goofy enough and, he's not really a Republican. He's just a guy that wants to do his own thing.
That would be a hell of a campaign. Hillary saying, you better vote for me or Trump's going to be president, and Trump building his campaign around, you got to vote for me or it's going to be Hillary. I mean, it would be entertaining.
If only that were not what is actually happening.